So it's at time. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So thank you all for joining Patrick's end of year presentation. He's gonna do an overview of his junior year. And so we do ask at the end that you allow commentary from the staff in the room. And then you all can do the same for Patrick at the end. So with that, Patrick, the floor is yours.
Much appreciated, Fernando. Hello, everyone. As you may or may not know, my name is Patrick Hughes. And this is my end of year presentation for the 2024 to 2025 academic year. Okay, that's always all right. Gonna follow the traditional structure of these year presentations. So I'm gonna go over the 3 pillars of knowledge, leadership, and service. It's kind of how those were embodied in the activities that I did over the year. Some fun stuff that I did, and then what's coming next. So moving on to knowledge. This category I'll start out with last summer. So a year ago, at my end of year presentation, I got to say that I was going to go to NASA in Houston at the Johnson Space Center to work as an Orion program intern. I actually didn't end up working as an Orion program intern, which is interesting, but I was at NASA. I was with a program called HyperStuff. No, this program was super cool. So my research area in undergrad so far has been in hypersonics with the UTSA Hypersonics Lab. And it's been really neat because one of the main areas of interest that we're studying at the Hypersonics Lab is re-entry, right? So hypersonics is stuff going basically really fast. And when you've got like orbital spacecraft, sometimes they're going at like Mach 25 when they're re-entering. And all of that energy that's in its velocity needs to be bled off, and most of it's transferred to heat and to movement in the air. So it creates like really crazy conditions, really weird physics, and we don't really understand it, right? And that's exhibited by the fact that the Orion spacecraft, which is, I think, going to launch again soon, but on its test launch, it came back down and the heat shield experienced erosion patterns that they weren't expecting. So it launched like this huge investigation, delayed the mission by a fair amount of time. But point being, this is the really important area of study. So this is a cool program because basically what it is it's like a small project building a spacecraft. It's going to be like about yay big. It's called a mid L over D shape. And the idea behind it is that it's going to be like $1 million a pop, which is expensive, but not expensive by like NASA standards, like government money. And so it's going to go up into space and then going to be able to fit it with different thermal protection systems and guidance and control algorithms that may or may not work. And then it's going to come back down and re-enter. And then we'll be able to see, okay, if it works, great. If not, it's only $1 million as opposed to testing it on like a regular spacecraft, which, $500 million, right? Which we definitely don't want to just waste on a test. So this is really cool. Small project, so it didn't have a ton of people working on it. So I got to do the parachutes pretty much on my own for this vehicle, which was awesome. So I got handed the vehicle, handed a CAD model, some different mission parameters, and basically told, hey, we need to slow this from like Mach 1, after it's slowed by the atmosphere, to a speed where it's not going to explode upon impact with the ground. So went in, did a lot of reading, some reading of like documents. Like one of the main guys I read, I was looking at his bio, and it was talking about how he was a scientist in Germany in the 1940s. I was like, oh yeah, that did happen, didn't it? The Operation Paperclip stuff. So that was kind of interesting, but that was a super cool experience. Got to research that, do a bunch of calculations, develop the actual design and prototype of the system, and implement it. You can see here, it's a very rudimentary prototype that I did. It's super basic, but a lot of the stuff I was doing was like only on paper. So I wanted to get hands-on with something. So that was at like 1:30 in the garage that I was trying to make it work. Really fun. And then I also got the on the spot award for my work that summer, which is pretty rare as an intern. So that was cool validation. It wasn't all work, of course. Some other really cool stuff, advantages of being at NASA. Got to tour a lot of really cool places. I got to meet Gene Kranz, which, like, if you know anything about kind of NASA culture, he's like probably the most legendary person from the Apollo era. He's a mission control guy. So that was awesome. Got to watch the movie The Martian projected onto a Saturn V rocket. That was pretty sick also. Really involved with the intern community there. So overall, great summer. Really had a good experience. I've been missing it. I've been missing my 9 to 5. But other than that, on knowledge, came back to school and then it was back to business as normal. So just like the last, 2 years, I've been working UTSA hypersonics. A lot of this stuff, I'm not gonna super go into it. Some of it I can't really go into it. But it was a lot of CFD validation, some stuff for Oak Ridge National Labs. I made a ton of diaphragms, which is like the sheet of metal that we use for every test that we have to make. So many of those, taught Kinsey and Ramon, who's a Terry scholar, how to make those as well. So that was fun. And then some other stuff, but just for fun, we put Shadow the Hedgehog, which I think Shadow is like Sonic but edgy, is my understanding, because Dr. Combs' kid apparently is a big fan. So we put Shadow the Hedgehog into the tunnel, see how it looked at Mach 7. So that was a good time. Some shenanigans there. That pretty much covers the knowledge portion aside from classes. So I guess I can move on to leadership. As you might know, one of the main things I did as far as leadership this year was with TSSO. This was a great time. So I was the TSSO Assistant Executive Director after being Communications Director last year. Doing this with Jordan this year, and it was really cool because we had an awesome board, right? This was one of the best boards that we've had in a while. It was really like a joy. People super on top of things. Honestly, me and Jordan, like our jobs felt pretty easy just because people were getting done what they needed to get done. So I had a really good time with that. And on top of that, scheduling committee, which was a really, really fun time. You can see, I think that picture is me and scheduling committee at like probably 1:30 in the morning, and all of us are super hyped up on Red Bulls, trying to finish the scheduling for selection. That was a really good time. Honestly, like I think that's probably one of my best memories from the year, and something I'm really gonna carry forward as like a highlight of the top scholar program in undergrad. Also blown away by the freshmen. Like the freshmen in this committee were awesome. They killed it. On top of that, I was the fundraising and finance chair for the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. This was cool. I won't get too much into it. The organization really does a lot of like tours and kind of experiential stuff. So you can see this is me with like a light aircraft, standard aero manufacturing facility. And then that was with a simulation setup for this really weird like experimental aircraft. That's actually a physical thing. So this is the thing they train the pilots on before they actually fly it. But I didn't crash. So I think that means that I could fly the real thing, probably no problem. They didn't let me, but I wanted them to. So that was fun. We did Best Fest, sold like 1,000 churros at Best Fest. That was a really good time. Made a fair amount of money. And that money went actually to sending a team of people to Dallas, where we won 1st and 3rd place at the AIAA Region 4 Student Conference. So that was really neat as well, to see kind of that work pay off in tangible results for, our club and for the university. On top of that, I left out some stuff. Let me see here. Move this over here. Other leadership, professional development stuff. Got a NASA pressure vessel safety certification. I have some funny pressure vessel stories from this year, actually, that I won't get into because of time. But I might talk about those later. I was involved in the President's Student Advisory Council. That was really neat. Cool experience, helping to advise university administration on different initiatives and just like hearing about how they're thinking about the stuff they're doing really puts a new perspective on things. So that was really cool. Glad to be doing that with you, Jonah. Top of that, I learned Creo Parametric, which is a CAD program at NASA. And then I didn't put it on here because I honestly kind of blanked when I was making the slide. But I was also involved in Dr. Fleurier's leadership class, where I made kind of for the final project, it was like a case study of a crisis management plan. So I did a scenario where Artemis 2 launches, which is a mission that's launching soon, where astronauts are going to go around the moon. And then on the way back, the heat shield fails, like we were wrong about the Orion heat shield calculations, and there's a loss of crew scenario and how that would be handled. So that was really interesting. And it's kind of launched like an interest in space policy for me, which has grown in ways that I might talk about more later, but that's a really interesting avenue that I might want to pursue more. So moving on from leadership, service. Service is one thing where I kind of wished I had done it a little bit differently this year. I, did some cool stuff. There was definitely, like, I did a lot of service events. I do wish I would have picked like one place to volunteer at super consistently, because I did that last year. And, I guess Ishwar, as a freshman, you might not have heard this, but it's a lot more fulfilling usually, when you're doing service stuff, to consistently volunteer at the same place than to kind of bounce around everywhere. So I will probably do that differently next year. But at the same time, did some fun stuff this year. Volunteered with Cami, AIAA, really great TSSO events, planned by Kayla and Catherine, who did an excellent job at their roles. And then with NASA's intern community outreach committee in Houston, which was super cool as well. Also reminded I need to take more pictures, because I did not have pictures of most of this stuff. Let me see. That's about it on service. 2 great adopted spot crews also. Shout out to Ishwar. There were also some L's taken this year. And they're L's that they were losses, but I'm actually kind of proud of them too. So I applied for the Archer Fellowship, which it's a little bit confusing, but basically I'm pretty sure that did not work out. But it was really cool.
Notices haven't gone out yet.
That did not? Oh, I just assumed that, okay. Well,
Yeah, you can continue, but I'm just.
never mind, I actually have never made a mistake. If I don't get it, I will look at it in a positive light still. I just assumed that, that it was one of those where like they didn't sit it when you got rejected. But it was really cool because I got to kind of expand, so context, for Archer you have to write a policy paper. And I did my policy paper on how space policy can be changed better and more effectively use the resources of the United States in advancing space technology. And that was super interesting because that was something that really, like, without this, I probably wouldn't have looked into. And even outside of Archer, it's something I do want to pursue. So that was really cool. GPA, as you can see, is not up to the standard that it is technically supposed to be at, which is not great, but I'm also kind of proud of that, right? Because it's not a 3.5 because I was really pushing myself. I was doing a lot and, I sent it a little too hard and didn't study quite enough for a few classes but it was because I was doing other things. So hopefully we'll get it back up this semester. But I actually am kind of proud of what that one says as well. There's another thing with AIAA with something called the drug derby program that didn't take off. I really won't get into that. But those were 2 with redeeming qualities. The other ones here were just horrible. This one, I had a cup of water and my brother grabbed a hot dog bun and put it in the cup of water. And that was really frustrating. And then my second one died, which is the 6th one that I've killed. So I felt bad about that. But, I think that's probably enough on the less successful aspects of my semester. Moving on, had a lot of fun this year. You can see this is just like a giant collage of different activities and stuff that I've done. Hung out with some really cool people, made some really great memories, had some great conversations. That ice cream trip with Karo and Ishwar was so cool. Honestly, like a really cool memory that I'm gonna carry with me. Roommate Jose and Indra were awesome throughout the year. And so many cool experiences. I got to forge a knife out of a railroad spike with Artie and Zaina. That was super cool. So overall, I had fun. I went to concerts. It wasn't too much fun, right? Like I was still pretty locked in, but I have some really great memories from this semester. And this is actually one of the things that I'm most proud of from this semester. I read a ton. And that's something that I did a ton in high school, and then I really lost over the past 2 years. So it was really cool. I got an Audible subscription. That was like the best decision of my life because I don't actually have time to physically read books. But just being able to listen to audiobooks and actually get more reading done throughout this year has been a really incredible experience. So see my stats. I've got 28 total books read this year, 9 fantasy, 2 sci-fi, 3 kind of theology and faith. And then 12 history books, which was awesome because I don't know. Some of you might know I almost majored in history. So pursuing that passion more just as a fun thing, that was a really good time. I got to learn about some periods of time and some places that I definitely hadn't before. Really cool experience and definitely something I want to keep up with. So what's next for me? I got a return offer for NASA, which was awesome. Got the call from Howard Hu, who's the director of the Orion program. So that was pretty cool to get that call directly from him. So I'm going to be there. I'm going to be finishing parachutes for the Hyperstep project. It's pretty cool because we were going to, in the development of the spacecraft, do like a balloon drop test and then a suborbital sounding rocket test. But the way that pricing has worked out recently, we're actually going to end up just sticking it on Falcon 9, putting it into orbit and seeing what happens. So probably pretty soon, my hardware is actually going to be in orbit, which is sick. That's like always been a dream of mine, honestly. So that's going to be really, really exciting to see happen. So we're going to keep working on that. In the fall, if Elon Musk is kind to me and NASA is hiring, I'll be hopefully at NASA at the co-op. So that would be super cool, getting to work there like straight through from, June to December, basically. It'd be really neat experience, especially in kind of the rapid development stage of this spacecraft that we're about to send off. So that's super exciting. There's a thing called the Yucca Hypersonic Flight Design Competition that me and some other undergrads from my lab are looking into. Other stuff that's going to be going on, but got some cool stuff coming up in the future. So it's really exciting. And then finally, just a few acknowledgements. There are a lot of people that I could thank. Not everyone made it onto here, obviously. Like there's so many more people that I'm so thankful for. But to the top scholar and honors college staff, the Jose and Indra for, roommate. It's been a great experience. A lot better than some previous ones. So that was helpful. And then, it's my friends here, and specifically to the freshmen, you'll be like the representative for your cohort. But genuinely, like, y'all have done such a good job at UTSA. And like becoming friends with y'all has really been an incredible experience and really enriched my year. And been something that's been very valuable to me. So I appreciate that. So with that, I will end it. Thank you very much for being here, y'all.
So Patrick, congrats on a very successful year. I'm super proud of everything that you're doing. I really appreciate, your leadership within TSSO. I'm really proud of the work that you and Jordan did this year. And I hope that you take that with you and apply it to every avenue of your life as you move forward from this year. Also, appreciate your willingness to help for the scheduling committee. I know how gruesome that was, and I'm glad that I was able to kind of really help in that role with you all, because it's very challenging, and I really appreciate your willingness and your help. And plus, thank you for introducing Celsius into my life, so I appreciate that. As a reminder, you're going to be the upperclassman next year, right? I know fall's kind of a little bit questionable about where you're going to be, but in the spring semester, everyone's going to be looking up to you and your class. So really lean into that mentorship, and it looks like the freshmen talk highly of you. Everyone that you have the opportunity to kind of talk with talks highly of you. And so really lean into that as you think about your legacy, as you think about the way that you lead, the way that you mentor other people behind you, really think about that. I know that you didn't have a lot of mechanical engineers, to look up to in Top Scholar, but now we have a lot of people who are majoring in mechanical engineering. So please offer that mentorship to the next class. Hopefully hear soon from Archer, and then we'll see ultimately what your fall looks like. But congrats on a good year.
It's been great getting to know you and getting to work with you and hearing so much about what you're truly passionate about and just how it comes across and how you exude it so effortlessly. So great presentation, and yeah, to echo what Fernando had said, it's been great seeing you in this leadership role in your respective TSSO, and we can't wait to see what happens next year.
Thank you.
Anyone else? General floor audience? You go.
I just want to say thank you on, not only myself, but on behalf of all the freshmen. You've been an incredible mentor, for all of us who I look up to you. Similar to Fernando, you also put me on Celsius this year, which is, we're actually twinning with flavors right now, so that's absolutely wonderful. I don't know, as an engineer, it was nice to have someone who's done the same process before, someone that I could go to for help, someone who's willing to put the time in, and like that was like pretty awesome first semester, second semester, like just like thank you for being like an incredible mentor. So yeah.
Thanks for being a good roommate, Patrick. Very, it showed me how often, how much more often I need to study. Just seeing how much you study is like, oh, maybe I should study too. So, thanks for being that encouragement. And I wanted to go back to your fun pictures. Is that on the top right? Is that a picture of a professor, or? Yeah. Is that who I think it is?
Oh, yes, that's Dr. Herbert. Edited into the, like.
I don't know, Ishwar, that is, our weed out in class professor that you guys don't take anymore. He caused so many people to leave engineering.
Yeah, it's a great picture.
Good job.
Thank you.
Waiting my turn, I guess I'll go. Patrick, wonderful presentation. I consider you a great friend. I think you're a really just good human being. So it's really nice to have you in the program. Thank you for your leadership this year on the board, making sure that, you know, we continue to grow our top scholar community and culture. And I just had a question also about the co-op. Can you talk more about that? What exactly would that look like? Would you be taking courses online, or I'm just curious about that. And also, sorry to interrupt, congratulations on your NASA internship. That's a really big deal. You know? Not everybody gets to intern at NASA, especially getting a phone call from who you got a phone call from. So congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, so the co-op, if it happens, would be, it's called the Pathways co-op. So no classes, basically just full-time work for the entire fall. And that specific program is really cool because you can transition directly, like if you do good in it, you can transition directly to being a full-timer. So that's pretty much the most direct route to having a full-time position in NASA, which is really kind of what I'm hoping for right now. So it'd be a neat experience.
But you also mentioned Elon Musk. How does that tie into?
Oh, yeah. Well, Doge is wreaking havoc on NASA
okay, I
right
see.
now. So the applications were supposed to be open by now, but the hiring freeze is still on.
Okay.
So it's gonna be like if the federal government like eases up and they're hiring into it again. Yeah. So it's if Elon is kind to me.
Patrick, congratulations, first of all. It's been great getting to know you this last year. I love the spot and just getting ice cream and just hanging out with you and just listening to you talk. You're so patient and you view life differently than mostly everyone I know. So having a new outlook on life, so patient and so assertive, it's so nice and refreshing. So just, you're an excellent human being and I really look up to you professionally and you're just very, very smart. So congratulations on NASA again and whatever you're doing next.
Thank you.